nothing is going to be mild. Not as far as the modeling and forecasting goes. Nothing will be mild. They will be different. And what I mean by that is we could actually see a moment in the winter where it could reach 80 degrees. Right? Extreme fluctuations and jet stream changes. But another thing I'm looking for is a reversal of the jet stream itself, which means it will begin to flow in the opposite direction.
What?
That happened once. That has already happened once. I do believe it's going to happen again, and that comes through all these pressure differences in the Earth.
Can I ask a question? I mean, when in the world did it happen once? I mean, was it like...
That's during the Dust Bowl. That's when the Dust Bowl, like the 1900s, and back in the,
1920s, 1930s, 1920s and 30s.
1400s, 1900s.
Yeah.
In the beginning. During those times, we had a reversal of the jet stream, but it was only temporary, right?
Right.
But what it did was, it caused the entire East Coast, the weather drastically changed. It became like a desert region. Places that had vegetation were totally shot. They were totally shot.
Yeah.
I believe that's going to happen again. From the data, I can see a jet stream reversal is going to take place. Now, this is not the Earth rotating in a different direction. That's not what it is.
Right.
This is the jet stream, the winds that are blowing. Instead of, normally, the winds are carried from west to east. Well, if the winds are carried from east to west.
Are the ocean currents also going to change as well?
The ocean currents are changing already due to underwater volcanism, right? Remember I mentioned also Tamamasi?
Yes, you did.
That volcano, Tamamasi, okay. If you take a globe, well, let me put it in a short way. Keep your eyeballs around Italy. I do believe, I don't say this to scare people, but something is developing in Italy itself. And it is linked to Tamamasi, to that entire, that ring of fire, right?
Right.
It's being shuffled around right now. That entire plate is being shuffled around because the magma it has to be at least 200 times more active than what it was. And so we're going to have greater volcanism problems, but where Italy sits, that landmass is not prepared for magma to be on the move. There have been reports, and I've had people on the ground to see this themselves. There are vent holes opening up in certain parts of Italy. Hot gases coming out of the ground in Italy. Now, I have yet to see this in the news. I haven't really looked in the news for that, but if anybody has seen that, let me know. But it's been confirmed. It's been videoed, I guess you could say, videoed. And magma underneath Italy, underneath that space, that area, is very active right now. It's going to become dangerous. And there will come a time when a dislodging effect will take place.
Will there be,
of course,
in your opinion, will there be a massive earthquake in Italy?
I think what Italy will face, Pastor Paul, is a combination of increased earthquakes, but magma is going to be a danger, right? Because you're dealing with ancient rocks around that place, which if they are dislodged by pressure from beneath, all those rock layers are going to begin to shift, which could cause some very real damage and lots of fire.
Wow. Wow. And we'll go there in a minute, but obviously whatever's going on in the spiritual world manifests as in the physical, and the turmoil coming out of Rome right now could not be at a higher level. And so the earth is responding accordingly. Now, this waves of energy, waves of radiation, cosmic, and galactical cosmic rays, are affecting the core of the earth. Can you now help us understand that one? Because you're saying that the core of the earth is absorbing it, and that's going to reverse the jet streams. The ocean currents are already reversing due to the volcanism going on under the seas and the oceans. So tell us, what does it mean by the core of the earth is responding?
Okay, let me clarify. Let's clarify this. Let's get this clear for everybody. With the sun, in the normal interaction between the earth and the sun The sun emits radiation continuously, right? The Earth, all those rays, all the energy that the sun is emitting, the protons, the active particles, everything else, is absorbed, redirected by the magnetosphere, right? So think of the magnetosphere as a highway for energetic particles. So what it does is, instead of those protons smacking into the Earth, irradiating everybody, right? The magnetosphere, that magnetic field around the Earth, redirects it to the poles. From the poles, it goes inside of the Earth, okay? And it begins to feed that dynamo, that theorized dynamo inside the Earth, okay?
Okay.
So then the Earth, its activity is actually fueled by the sun. It's almost like a conveyor belt. It's thought to be this way. This is theoretical, but the emissions of radiation from the sun is not theoretical. It is a fact, right?
Right.
Inside of the Earth is theoretical. It is the best way it can be explained, today, right now, for most folks. There are other explanations, but they have not been publicized. Anyway, so as the Earth absorbs radiation by way of its magnetosphere, right?
Yeah.
And it's sucked into the Earth at the poles, right? Regenerating the interior of the Earth into that liquid core.
I got it.
This has been in a steady, progressive state for a long time. It's been sustained for a long time. It's almost impossible for something to be sustained so perfectly all this time. Kind of like the moon, right? That
Right.
one side facing the Earth is somewhat impossible, okay? For all this time, it's impossible. Anyway, this goes on. Now, with the introduction of more radiation, what does that mean? That means both the sun, which emits radiation, and the Earth, which absorbs radiation, will begin to absorb more radiation, right? It's kind of like overfilling your gas tank.
Okay.
Overfilling a cup of water, right? You can continue to pour the contents in a cup, right? Over
Yes.
time, and then a certain amount evaporates when conditions are right, so you can never overfill that cup. Because every drop that goes in there, every 2 days, is going to evaporate every 2 days, so it stays at one level. But if you increase the flow of the water into the cup beyond the evaporation capabilities of that water, you have an overflow. And what's happening to the Earth right now is there's an overflow.
An overflow of energy. An overflow of energy because the magnetosphere, the Earth's shield, is being inundated with galactic cosmic rays that are flowing from the poles on into the core, heating the core, energizing the core. Is this going to affect the spinning of the Earth, the speed of the spin of the Earth? Do you see that changing?
Actually, I do, due to inertia, right? And physical property changes in the modeling. Now, this is science, guys. This is modeling. They've
Right.
done that modeling as it absorbs more and more of the energy, right? Our
Right.
days will be shortened because the Earth's rotation will speed.
Wow!
Begin to speed up. It will begin to fluctuate.
So that's when Jesus... So,
Imagine, Pastor Paul, one day being 8 hours, and another day being 11 hours, and another day being 2 hours, right? Those are fluctuations in speed. Now, in the modeling, one of the models suggests this, that from month to month, right?
right?
We will know, every 2 months, every 60 days, we may notice a differential in time itself, in the time of the day itself. Okay, every 2 months it may go forward, it may be longer, it may be shorter, but there's certainly going to be some differences every 60
Well, you're
days.
just...
And that condition will begin to increase, and it is unpredictable.
Well, to help... okay, so you got Einstein's law of relativity. Space and time. So what you're saying is that, yes, it could affect the spin of the Earth, and it's already affecting it, I'm hearing you say, and every couple months time seems to go slower, or time appears to us faster. It's because the spinning of the Earth, the pressure of the Earth, space and time is just like this. If we get in a spaceship and go to Mars, I don't know which way it goes. Either time goes way slower or way faster. I'm not sure which it is, but it definitely, less gravitation, change of time and space. You could live longer in certain environments. Am I right?
That's true, and time will change from the place you left. Actually, the higher you go, right? If you went up, if you go to the top of, if you're in Dubai and go to the top of that building in Dubai, there's a actual time change. So you have to do this with synchronized atomic clocks, but there's a time change. From being at the top to being at the bottom, there's a time change. Now, they have recently found through experiments at CERN, and they have proven this, that gravity and time go together. You can't separate the two.
Right.
Time is something different than what's been introduced to us in the science books.
Yeah.
Something very, very different. Anyway, so when the properties of the Earth begin to change, and because you're dealing with a lot of mass, right?
Right.
So will things be distorted. So we're looking at a distortion. Now, the biological effect of that on us is we're going to hit a critical point, because when the seasons change, lots of folks change just like the trees do. They may go into a type of depression, this, that, and the other. So a change in the foliage has an effect on our biology. Ours likewise. It will cause a deep-rooted fire by way of aggravation, by way of not being satisfied. An emotional change will take place because there will be chemical changes in the body. Now, most people do not know how to overcome the chemical changes in the body, nor do they know how to overcome emotions, right? Which is why Jesus advised us to walk in the Spirit and to die to the flesh daily. Because if we're left operating by desire, right, we're going to go wacko, we're going to be nuts. And we see that rising also in these days. There are people becoming, they can't, they're not focusing. It's difficult for them to focus. They're hitting these rage points faster than normal. And we're going through physical changes, that are going, the radiation being introduced, causing the dynamics of the change. And as it's all increasing, what's happening is
So the gamma rays that usually are just we're being inundated with are now coming out of the center of the Earth because the gamma rays are flowing into the center because of a weakened magnetosphere. Let me ask you a question. So is CERN, should I be concerned about CERN? Because I think you've said, I've heard others say, that CERN, when it's cranked up, messes with our magnetosphere. We're also, I know we're in a solar minimum, and I understand that when you're in a solar minimum, your magnetosphere weakens also. It's kind of there's a balancing act here. But should we be concerned about CERN? They're doing some kind of new experiment, Mike, where all the CERNs of the Earth are going to be linked together in a project called Atlas, when they're going to turn the switch on all of them at once, connecting them all in some kind of mad scientific Frankenstein experiment. Is CERN, should I be concerned about CERN?
Well, I think that to understand, I'm going to have to make a new presentation on CERN. The first one I did was the basics, just the basics of what they were trying to find. This time, they have perfected the magnets. They perfected the magnets, right? So they're very, very powerful magnets, right?
Right.
It does deal with AI, because they have AI perfected. They're going to have an AI console, let's say an AI console, governing some of the critical functions of this coordinated experiment. And they have found so many things they have found. New particles, they have found new particles. Some of the observations took in a machine that was AI from an offset of a D-Wave computer to figure that out, to see what's happening. But what they're doing is messing with time itself. Now, CERN, I know that there are plenty of stories about CERN. I know that there are. One of the more obvious effects of CERN is CERN itself is like a particle beam weapon. Right? It's the failure of CERN that concerns me. It is the failure. Because if a particle beam weapon fails, and those protons, right, those high-speed particles jump out of that tube, if we have a failure in magnetic containment, and they have shut down procedures for this, the machine is just too large to contain such a thing. I know they have it in the Earth, but you're looking at a controlled nuclear weapon is what you're looking at, a controlled explosion of a nuclear weapon on a very contained small scale. And if the magnets fail, we're in big trouble. And those charged particles start going all over the Earth, they can begin to affect the grid and everything else. We could send ourselves into a blackout. But they're also messing with time. one of their biggest observations, and this is why it needs a new presentation for CERN, is that they have found so many things dealing with time. I mean, they have manipulated time around that, where they actually sense and begin to diffuse particles. They have messed with time. Now, I'm not talking about a fraction of time either. I'm talking about a few seconds of time, as though you would see a distortion, like you would see a double image of something with your normal eye. So something is happening inside where they're analyzing these particles and they're messing with time. That has drastic effects. You can't pull energy, right, from the unseen, having no consequence in the seen. You can't do that. And one time, Pastor Paul prayed, I said, Lord, why are you letting these guys get away with this? Why are you doing this? And I was led to a few scriptures in the Bible of what mankind would do, of what mankind would try to do, right? But they were being guided by something else. Something is being coordinated, a massive coordination of an experiment that's greater than CERN, because it has to deal with humanity too. Humanity is being prepped to house something, pure and simple. Humanity is being prepped to be almost soulless. And with all these experiments taking place, real damage will be done. But the greater damage will be inside the human being. The greater damage
right.
calls a person such a...
so you can't have...
The greater damage
right.
calls a person such a...
so you can't have... if the planet...
This too also, Pastor Paul, any type of magnetic influence affects your brain.
Yeah.
It affects your consciousness. It affects your subconsciousness. It affects how you see the world. So in essence, if you could manipulate the magnetic field around a person's brain, do you know what can happen? You can have that person, right, experience a brand new dimension that they're not used to. That's one of the side effects of CERN in the first place.
Oh, that's all we
magnetic fields.
Man.
People see strange things, and it scares them to the point of having heart attacks. If this were to happen worldwide, how many people do you think that would go crazy?
A lot. And the Bible says, it, Mike, it says that men's hearts would fail them for fear, for looking after those things coming upon the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Okay, so, and we know that that's just before we see the sign of the coming of the Son of Man. I mean, this is right out of the Bible. It's Luke 21. So let me ask you a question. October 25th, NASA's going to do some kind of experiment in space to capture the incoming galactical cosmic rays, the radiation levels, cosmic radiation levels that are coming. Is this the beginning of the third wave of energy in Planet X? I'm going to say that, let's say Planet X, let's assume that Planet X, or Nibiru, is the source of these waves of energy that are so incredible that they're affecting everything. Is October 25th the day